Welcome to our channel Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive. He begins with a story that sounds like a movie, but every part of it is real. Early one morning in 1983, a group of men walked into a warehouse near Heathrow Airport. They weren't there for a small robbery. They were about to take 3 tons of gold, so much gold that even they couldn't believe their eyes. This heist didn't just shock London. It began a chain of events filled with hidden money, betrayals, mysterious deaths, and criminals who grew rich in silence. Police found the robbers, but the gold itself almost completely disappeared, melted, and mixed into the world forever. Even today, no one truly knows where most of it went. This is the unbelievable story behind the Brink's-Mat heist. In the early morning of November 26, 1983, quiet warehouse near Heathrow Airport in London became the center of one of the biggest robberies in British history. This warehouse belonged to a security company called Brink's-Mat. Inside it, millions of pounds worth of cash, diamonds, and most importantly, gold bars were stored. The people working inside believed they were protected by strong security systems. But that morning, everything changed. At around 6:40 a.m., 6 men arrived at the warehouse. They were dressed in dark clothing and carried guns. They knew exactly where to go, exactly who to target, and exactly how to enter. This was not a random robbery. Someone on the inside had helped them. That man was a security guard named Anthony Black. He worked at the warehouse. He had shared details of the building's alarms, routines, and the location of the vault. The gang trusted him, and he trusted them at least for a while. One of the leaders of the robbery was a man named Mickey McAvoy. Strong, confident, and feared, he believed this job would set him up for life. Another key robber was Brian Robinson, a man who knew how to plan and control a team. With Anthony Black's information, he believed nothing could stop them. When the robbers entered, they found 3 guards inside. The robbers tied their hands, covered their eyes, and forced them to lie on the ground. They threatened them, but they did not hurt them. What the robbers wanted most was access to the vault. They ordered one guard to give them the keys and the codes. The guard refused at first, but after hearing the threats, he gave in. The robbers expected to find about 1 million pounds worth of cash inside the vault. But as they opened the doors, they froze. In front of them were stacks of heavy gold bars, 6,800 of them, almost 3 tons of gold. At that moment, the robbery changed. They were no longer stealing money. They were stealing a fortune. The total value of the gold was around 26 million pounds at the time, which would be more than 100 million pounds today. Even the robbers were shocked, but they kept going. They loaded the gold into a van, carefully stacking the bars because each one was extremely heavy. The entire process took nearly 2 hours. They kept the guards on the ground and warned them not to move. When the gang finally drove away, they left the warehouse in silence, taking with them one of the most valuable hauls ever stolen in the United Kingdom. The gold bars glowed under the warehouse lights, but once inside the van, they were hidden from the world. News of the robbery broke quickly. Police arrived at the scene and immediately realized this was no simple crime. The gold was gone, and someone on the inside must have helped. They questioned the guards and soon learned that Anthony Black had behaved strangely. Within days, he confessed and gave the names of McAvoy and Robinson. But even with that information, the police had a much bigger problem: the gold itself. Gold bars are not like cash. They can be melted. They can be reshaped. They can disappear forever. Once melted, they are almost impossible to trace. The police knew that if the gold was not recovered quickly, it would vanish. Meanwhile, the robbers celebrated. They believed they had pulled off the crime of the century, but their celebration did not last long. McAvoy had a plan. He wanted the gold melted down. He also wanted to invest the profits from selling it. For that, he needed someone with experience. He turned to 2 men who were experts in handling illegal money, Kenneth Noy and John Palmer. Kenneth Noy lived in a large house in Kent. He presented himself as a successful businessman, but he was deeply involved in criminal activity. He knew how to move money without attracting attention. He also knew how to handle gold. When McAvoy approached him, Noy agreed to help because the reward was enormous. Noy's plan was simple. He would melt the gold bars, mix them with other gold, and sell the new mixed gold to dealers. Since the gold would no longer look like the stolen bars, it would be almost impossible to trace. He set up a hidden workshop where he and his team worked day after day, melting the gold and turning it into new shapes. John Palmer, another associate known as Goldfinger, did similar work. He melted large amounts of the gold in his own facilities. Both men made millions through this process. They used the money to buy properties, businesses, and luxury items. Some of the profits were even invested in real estate developments in Spain and London. Back in London, the police were struggling. They arrested McAvoy and Robinson based on Black's confession, but they still didn't know where the gold had gone. They suspected Noy and Palmer, but proving it was extremely difficult. Without physical evidence of the gold, they felt stuck. Detectives soon realized the robbery had created a chain reaction in the criminal world. Everyone wanted a piece of the gold. Criminal groups in London, Kent, and even overseas got involved in helping sell it. Many of them betrayed each other, stole from each other, and even murdered each other. Over the years, around 20 deaths have been linked to the Brinks-Mat gold. The robbery had opened a door that many people would soon walk through, many would never return from. One of the major turning points came when police put Noy under surveillance. Officers hid in fields near his home, watching his movements. One night, they caught him and an associate handling large bags of gold. But when they tried to arrest him, a violent struggle broke out, and one officer was stabbed and killed. Noy claimed he acted in self-defense. The court accepted his argument, and he was not convicted for the officer's death. However, he was later convicted of handling stolen gold and was sent to prison. John Palmer also faced detention from investigators. When they searched his home, they found equipment for melting gold as well as evidence linking him to Brinks-Mat. But Palmer claimed he did not know the gold was stolen. To the surprise of many, he was acquitted. Even after that, he became involved in other massive fraud schemes. Years later, he was murdered in his home in Spain. As for McAvoy and Robinson, both were sent to prison for 25 years for their role in the robbery. McAvoy was furious that so many people involved with the gold had kept the profits while he was locked up. He believed he deserved a share of the money. But by then, the gold had been melted, sold, and turned into countless investments. Many criminals had already grown rich from it. The gold itself was never fully recovered. Only a small portion was found. The rest disappeared into the economy, mixed with other gold, and sold through jewelry shops, banks, and dealers around the world. It is believed that many people unknowingly owned jewelry or gold items that once came from the Brinks-Mat heist. The robbery also changed the way the UK handled gold and other valuable items. New laws were introduced to track gold sales more carefully. Dealers had to keep detailed records. Buyers had to provide identification. But even with these changes, the original gold was long gone. Years passed, but the story of the Brinks-Mat heist continued to grow. Journalists wrote books about it. Documentaries were made. The robbery became legendary not just because of the amount of gold stolen, but because of what happened afterward: the murders, the betrayals, the wealth that grew from the crime. The heist also revealed how organized crime networks worked in the UK during the 1980s. It showed that criminals were not just stealing. They were investing, building financial empires, and laundering money through legitimate businesses. Many properties in London and southern Spain are believed to have been built using money from the gold. Even today, police investigators say the Brinks-Mat robbery had long-lasting effects. Some even claim it helped shape modern organized crime in Britain. The money spread so far through so many channels that its influence can still be felt. In the end, the robbery remains unsolved in many ways. Yes, some men were jailed. Yes, a small amount of gold was recovered. But most of the gold vanished. Most of the people who profited were never caught. And many of the crimes connected to the heist were never fully explained to this day. The Brinks-Mat heist stands as one of the most daring and successful gold robberies in history. What began as a planned theft of cash turned into a legendous story of greed, danger, and the dark world of gold laundering. The warehouse near Heathrow is long gone now, replaced by new buildings and new businesses. But the memory of that morning in 1983 remains. People still wonder where the gold ended up, who exactly profited, and how such a huge robbery was ever possible. And perhaps the most shocking truth is this: much of the gold is still out there, hidden in plain sight, melted into new shapes, worn by people who have no idea where it came from. The Brinksmat. Heist continues to fascinate because it was more than a robbery. It was the beginning of a chain reaction that lasted for decades. It involved criminals, businessmen, corrupt officials, foreign investors, and ordinary people who had no idea they were part of a massive web of stolen wealth. It was a story of opportunity and consequence. Even now, investigators talk about the robbery as if it were ongoing, because in many ways, it never really ended. The gold may be gone, but the story lives on, reminding everyone that behind every crime of this size, there are far more secrets than answers. As the story of the Brinksmat heist comes to an end, he reminds everyone that this robbery was more than a moment in history. It was a crime that continued to shape lives for decades. The gold vanished into the world, the criminals fought among themselves, and many questions were never answered. Even now, investigators say the full truth may never be known. Some of the wealth built from that stolen gold still exists today, hidden behind businesses, properties, and people who had no idea where the money came from. The warehouse is gone, but the mystery remains. If anyone enjoyed this journey into one of the world's most shocking robberies, he invites them to like the video, subscribe, and stay tuned for more real stories that are stranger than fiction. For watching more amazing videos like this, subscribe our channel Crime Loom.